You guys can read through that one. What else? Oh, sorry guys. This is going to be a bit of a two-parter, it looks like. We're closing in on an hour. There are several ways you can get into small business or your first business. You can learn from others, go work for somebody else, buy an existing business, buy a franchise, take over a family business. And I've had former students who have done all of these. Some of them were doing it while they were in school. There is a micropub called Red Collar in Kamloops, and while they were putting that bar together, my student who was finishing off her degree was an integral part of putting that business together and taking a full-time course load. She was pretty intense for a long time, but that was a family business. Her parents and her sister all worked there as well. So what are some of the things you need to know? Planning your business. Okay. Business plan, put it together. There are a lot of ways to do that. I'll put up a traditional way. There's also the Lean Business Model Canvas, which is very popular and I personally like. We need to look at how we're going to finance our business, how we're going to get to know our customers, marketing. We're going to look at, you need to know how to deal with employees, the human resource side, and keeping solid records, the accounting side. And guess what? Every single one of these is a major at TRU. Business plan, entrepreneurship, finance, marketing, HR management, and accounting. We also have others, economics, supply chain management, and there's one more that I always forget. Anyway, we'll figure it out later. So, basically, a business plan says what you're going to do. I look at a business plan very simply. I look at a business plan, and it doesn't matter what form it's in, it needs to answer three questions. What's the problem? What are you going to do about it? And why should I believe you? Okay. I gave a seminar to about, I don't know, 100, 150 PhDs who work for the government. Many for the National Research Council, many for a lot of other places, Export Development Canada, so I think some Business Development Bank of Canada people were there. And you should have seen everybody write that down, like I'd just given them words from the higher power or something, right? What's the problem? What are you going to do about it? And why should I believe you? Those are the three questions you need to answer in any kind of business plan. Okay. And I can break any kind of business plan methodology down into those three categories. Okay. So how do we get money? Well, first of all, we use our own, right? And many of us do that. I've put money into every venture I've started. Then we can go to angel investors. They're also what's referred to as friends and family. Those are usually the place we go, but they don't have to be. There are professional angel investors who invest their own money in companies to help you get going. Next after that, venture capitalists, also referred to as vulture capitalists. They invest in your company, usually at a bigger level. Angel comes first, relatively small. Venture capitalists bigger, up to tens, even hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, it's really interesting trying to negotiate with a venture capitalist because essentially all you have is an idea and they have all the money. So there's definitely a power imbalance in terms of dealing with venture capitalists. And I've dealt with a few. Always fun. One of my favorite days was a day I got to turn down $15 or $20 million US from an American venture capitalist. They wanted to sign a term sheet, which is an offer to give you the money and the conditions by which you get it. And they wanted to talk about it. And I went to my current investors and sat with them. And they literally said, if they come back with something that is unacceptable, we'll just fund you. We've already talked about it. We'll throw the money in. We'll double down on the investment. Well, it's more than double down. And that was a nice feeling. So we got on the phone call, and they had all their partners, and this was a big American company which has name recognition out of Boston, and their junior partner, or it wasn't even a junior partner, he was the guy leading it. I said, okay, we called you up. We've got the partners here. We want to go through the term sheet. And I was like, well, we really appreciate the time and the offer, but we've gone through it, and we'd like to respectfully decline your offer. And there was just dead silence on the other end, right? Absolute silence. It was one of the great moments to be able to turn down money. And my current investors stepped up and did chip in all that money. Crowdfunding. Indiegogo, Kickstarter, two of the most famous crowdfunding platforms. You are essentially, as a supporter, pre-buying a product, and the product may or may not come. I am a big supporter of Kickstarter and Indiegogo, more on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, because I find you're more likely to not be a subject of fraud on Kickstarter. You are often a subject of fraud on Kickstarter, but more so on Indiegogo in my experience. And lastly, you can go to the market. Or what is the market? The market is people with unsatisfied needs and wants who have both the resources and willingness to buy. Okay, you can also go to the market for money. They have new rules in the United States where less qualified investors can become angel investors. I've supported a few companies through that way as well. So here's a basic outline of a business plan. Cover letter, executive summary. Executive summary should be no more than 2 pages. I'm a big fan of single page. That's why I do 1-pagers to start to get you thinking that we don't need extra words. Company background, your management team, identify who you are, what your background is, what your gaps are, how you plan on filling them, your financial plans, where you're going to go, what you need money for, capital required, again, how much and why, how you're going to go after your customers, why we're going to set up in a certain spot, how we're going to make stuff, and then anything really detailed in the appendices. This is a lean canvas. This is an awesome, awesome, awesome piece of documentation. Okay, in a single page, you can outline a whole lot of things. What's the problem? What's your value proposition? We haven't spoken about this, but what's your value prop? Okay, what is your offer? Why you're different? Why somebody would buy from you? Okay. Problem, value prop, solution, channels, how we're going to get to our customer. Are we going direct? Are we going through Walmart? How are we getting there? Oh, customer segments, how we're segmenting our customers. Who are we going to sell to and why? Cost structure, customer acquisition costs. How much does it cost to get a new customer? What's it cost to distribute? What's our lifetime revenue out of the customer? Okay, you'll very often see this on Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. Okay, they'll say, hey, what's your customer acquisition cost? Oh, it's $20 a person. They're like, oh, that's a lot. What's your lifetime revenue? Oh, it's $3,000 a person. Well, now I'm interested. Okay, what's your customer acquisition cost? $20 a person. What's your lifetime revenue? $25. I'm not interested in that at all. All right. So customer acquisition cost and lifetime revenue are very often used hand in hand. And if you listen carefully on Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, you'll very often hear it. Revenue streams. There it is. When's our money coming from? Oh, there's lifetime value. And what's our gross margin? So how do we start up? Where do we get the money from? Most people, 84%, use personal money. Then we go to financial institutions. We borrow money from the bank on our credit cards. We use trade credit. That means we buy something, we've got a good relationship with the store, and they don't charge us for a month. We go to friends and relatives. We used retained earnings, which is money left over from operating. Capital leasing. So we don't buy the car, we lease the car. That actually saves us some cash flow, but probably costs us more in the long run. Government loans, other, and angel investors and venture capital down at 2%. So what are some of the difficulties in starting small businesses? Getting money. It's always about money. Money, money, money. We cannot grow our business without money. And in your Intro to Finance course, hopefully they will show you why you need money and how it is literally impossible to grow unless you have money. We may not know how to get started. That's another problem. What do I do next? We may not understand cultural differences in prospective markets. Okay, Canada and the US are different. France and Italy are different. Australia and New Zealand are different. China and Japan are different. Okay, all countries that are physically close together and we may think are similar will have dramatic cultural differences. And if we do the wrong thing, then that can literally kill our chances in that country. Here's a cultural difference. Home Depot tried to open up a store in China. Well, they opened up a bunch of stores. Okay, this was their thought process. Hey, China is becoming wealthier. They're having an expanding middle class. Well, what do middle class people like to do in the United States? Well, they like to fix up their houses. So they go to Home Depot and they buy stuff and they pick up their houses. Cultural difference. In China, you don't fix your own house. You pay people to fix houses. So Home Depot is trying to market to a middle class that literally doesn't do what they need them to do. Home Depot failed miserably in China. Okay. And what else? Lots of bureaucratic paperwork. Yes, even small businesses have to deal with paper, and it is annoying at all levels. Small business advantage. Right? Small businesses like dealing with people. We're getting smarter and smarter chatbots, but chatbots drive me up the wall. I don't know what you're like, but yeah, it's pretty annoying. So that's an advantage. It comes back to customer service. SMEs can very often ship faster. Why? We don't have as much volume. We can spend an extra hour or two every night packaging stuff and sending it if we need to. We can have access to a bigger supply of suppliers. What does that mean? We can have different product offerings. Okay. What does that mean? Well, as a small buyer, we're probably going to pay a little more, but we don't have as much overhead. So we can potentially be price competitive with bigger guys and offer better service and offer wider variety potentially. Right? So those types of things could set us apart, even in an international market. So what do we have? Entrepreneurs are motivated by the challenge of some sort. There may be profit motive, you may be an immigrant, there may be one of dozens of reasons you decide to become an entrepreneur. I have to tell you, it is fun. I have to tell you, it can also be ridiculously stressful. Okay? I told you the story about having to sell something at well below my cost just to get enough money to pay my employees. And to this day, I think we had 50 or 60 employees at the time. None of them know what I did. They didn't know they were this close to not being paid. Okay. Small businesses generate a huge amount of GDP, between 25 and 40% of Canada's GDP, and employ almost 70% of our labor force. Small businesses are super important. Okay. We can figure out how to work in a small business by working for somebody else who has a small business, by buying an existing business or a franchise, or taking over or working in our family's businesses. I found in Kamloops there are a lot of people who work within their family businesses. And that's amazing. That's awesome. You need to know a lot of stuff to run a small business. And a lot of stuff, even when you're done your degree, there will be stuff popping up that you won't know. Yet you still have to make decisions about them. Okay? You need to be able to learn fast and adapt. You need to be able to make those decisions, not be paralyzed by the lack of information. And it's a balance, right? You need enough information to make an informed decision. But will you ever have perfect information? No. Will you get it wrong sometimes? Will you get it right? Hopefully most of the time. Okay. From a worldwide perspective, small businesses can offer customized service. They can talk to people. Very often we can have a wider selection and ship faster than bigger businesses because we don't have to deal with as much infrastructure. But we also face challenges starting our small businesses in terms of getting financing or even knowing what to do to start, or dealing with different cultures, dealing with different laws in foreign markets, and red tape. Okay? Shipping anything across a border can have a massive amount of red tape. Okay? That said, thank you very much. I hope you guys have a good day.